Ha!
Ha!
How are we?
That's the weekend.
Ashly's just been crazy as usual. I'm joking.
I am not.
How are you? How was your convention?
My trip that I went on, it was great. It was fantastic. The sun was shining, it was warm, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a lot of emotional breakthrough, if you will, that came up and busted through, and here we are.
It sounded like you inspired, excited, inspired to, moving forward. You felt like you had the event was giving you a big.
Well, and I think
boost of inspiration.
There were so many connecting pieces of, let's be honest. A lot of us know that we play small, that we can play far bigger than what we play when we show up for our customers, our business, our family, all of the things, right? But there's a big connection piece that happens when you start to break down through the bullshit. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. It's bullshit. It's lies that we tell ourselves. It's all of the things. And I had a lot of connection pieces that happened as to why I show up small, why I play small. And it's time to just be done, because playing small gets me absolutely nowhere. So yeah, there's a lot of things that came up that I think were relatively helpful in the moment that they were presented. I know that's super vague, but I'm not going to go far into detail. But it's just a lot of emotional nonsense that I just don't need to carry anymore.
And that's links to the topic tonight, where it's crime and punishment while living with mental health, because we tend, us especially, I wouldn't say it was men either, but we tend to punish and beat the crap out of ourselves for being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Even though half the time it's not us that's causing it.
I heard a great saying, we treat ourselves, sometimes we treat ourselves so badly, we would never dare treat our friends. We never, sometimes we criticize and we treat ourselves so badly in that way, we'd never dare treat our friends that way. Because, and it's true, isn't it?
I think it's easier to do that, though. We're our own worst critic. And then we guilt and we shame ourselves, and we don't have a desire to necessarily feel the emotions or feel the feelings. We would rather just stuff it and push it away than deal with it. Well, if you don't deal with it and you don't push past it and do the things that require that healing, then yeah, you're gonna show up different. You're gonna show up small, and you're gonna get triggered by things and not necessarily recognize why it bothers you so much.
Yeah.
So it's recognizing that. Why does that trigger me? Why does that bother me?
Absolutely.
And connecting those dots.
Yeah, thanks for the comment as well, DW. I don't know who you are. You need to remind me of who you are, because I speak to too many people. Wisconsin over here as well. So yeah. But yeah, so I'm glad it's you two as well, because it's the difference between the men and women, where obviously we're talking about how we cope in these times of day. With obviously, hi David, hope you're well. With obviously all the shit that's going on within the world, and we focus on that rather than focus on actually living in the moment. And that has a big impact, not just on ourselves, but the people around us as well, friends, family, whatever. And I think that's why relationships, whether they're married, early stages, long-term relationships, they're in crisis because they just can't cope with it.
It's interesting you said about the wider world, because I think you know, again, so I heard watching the news is one of the worst things you can do for your mental health. You know, in the sense that, you know, if you watch the news, you would, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, but you would think there's only bad stuff going on. And obviously there's, you know, wars and conflicts, and, you know, it's very worrying, it's very stressful to watch what's going on. But that, you know, but also there's a lot of good stuff, you know, going on around the world as well. And I guess it's what you sort of, what do you know, what do you sort of see and surround yourself with, you know, in that way. I think it's people as well as the environment you're in, and I think certainly we see in the wider world. I think it's, you know, it's good to be aware of what's happening in the world, but I think, you know, I think definitely, you know, if you watch the news, I think it can be bad. You know, I think watching the news can be bad for mental health. My mother, for example, she watches the news at night, and then she can't sleep. She's insomniac, and I always say to her, "Well, you know, why do you watch the news? You know, it's like you watch all this worrying stuff out of the world. You wonder why you can't sleep." So, I think there's it's definitely sort of relates to how you perceive, you know, and I think it relates to also, you know, sort of your place in the world, because what you know, what do we set too high? Where do we want to be in life? And obviously we want to improve ourselves and whatever. But if we set standards, are we saying to ourselves we're failing because we're not meeting the standards we're setting for ourselves? You know, are we saying, well, you know, I should be here, I should doing this, I should achieve that? And if we don't feel we've met that, we criticizing ourselves for those. So I think that's
and if anyone's got any questions as well, please put them forward as well. We're open to anything, even if it means bantering with Ashly, because she can't throw banter for nothing. But anyway, no. But while you were talking, Nick, I've actually just pulled up a post that has actually inspired everyone while I was live on TikTok.
Okay, show it.
And it says, obviously, it was a picture of Bugs Bunny sat on a chair, like a deck and stuff like that. And it says, I may not be where I want to be, but I am one step closer every day. And one day I will smile again.
Like it.
So
that's where you need to start smiling, Ashly, because you've been stressed non-stop.
I have not been.
Have you not?
I have not been.
While you was on your break, we was obviously talking, and you was miserable.
Yeah, right. I looked really miserable, huh?
That video.
No, I was on call with her, and
okay, I see. Okay,
yeah. Obviously, the picture's fantastic, professional, and congrats to you. But while I was on call, you were stressing because things were happening at home. And that's what I want to pick on you about, is you were focused on things that were at home, when in reality you should be focused on the there and then and focused on you. And that is your self-care. That was your freedom for the week. But you wasn't. So you was neglecting yourself, woman.
Not fully, though, because yes, and that's why I said, while things were unfolding here at home and some things were occurring, it also allowed me, I think, to have those emotional breakthroughs, because when there was that discord that was happening here at home, while yes, I was states away, thousands of miles away, it was more so, okay, I can't deal with it, but wait, why am I triggering? What is this triggering me into? Why am I having this emotional response? What is it bringing me back to in my childhood, in my teen years? So it allowed me to make those deeper connections to have that emotional breakthrough. So yes, it was stressful because there was the discord and the tension, but at the same time, it freed me up into stepping into that emotional space that I typically just press down and I just stuff, versus feeling the feelings and dealing with it.
Yeah, and that's what people seem to forget. Obviously, again, if people's got any questions, because I see there's 4 people tuned in, which is brilliant. Please obviously share this as well. And I keep saying this to a lot of people, even Kerry, and even my kids, and even other people as well, is Yeah, fair enough. You're a mother, you're a father, you're a partner, you're an uncle, niece, whatever. But we forget that we are us. We forget, we lose that identity. Why? I've got them now.
No, I think it comes from what people have spoken over us. We listen to the lies that people speak over us as kids, as teenagers, as adults, but mainly in our childhood. If you've got that one teacher that's spoken over you, you're not good enough, you're never going to amount to anything, you're not smart enough, you need to be in special ed classes, like that imprints in our brain that we're not smart enough, we're unworthy, we're no good, right? So when we carry that and we put that on as our identity, when things happen as we become adults, those same lies continue to replay in our head. It can trigger us. If my husband and I are fighting and he, say, rejects me or tells me no for something, I feel that immense rejection. Well, that triggers me into my teenage years in a situation with my dad. So it's like, okay, why am I feeling that? Why do I take that rejection on? Why do I feel like I'm not enough? Because it put me here as this little girl who was told that I'll just sign over my parental rights. And then all of a sudden it's, you're not good enough. I don't want you. You're unworthy. You're like all of these pieces. So rejection may be the main thing you feel, but what else is wrapped in that? And we just continue to wear that as clothes on ourselves. So you have to figure out, how do you shed the weight of the opinion of other people? How do you shed the weight of the lies in the identity that people have spoken over you? Well, you have to counter it with something else, that you are enough, you are worthy, you are deserving of whatever you want, or all of those things. But you have to counter it. And if you don't know how to counter it, then you just stay stuck.
Yeah. It's a good assessment.
I'd say it's interesting, you said about, so triggering, taking you back to a feeling you have in your childhood. Because I remember when I was in a job a few years back and I had some sort of workplace conflict with someone I worked with, and like a bullying situation by a higher up colleague. This is going a few years back, and it triggered, and it took me back. It made me feel, minded me, like felt me feel like when I was bullied at school, and that's what really annoyed me. Because I'd sort of moved on from that, and it was very painful at the time being bullied at school, but I'd moved on from that, and as a person. And then it just that's what really annoyed me, that all these years later, to go for it at work and then for it to trigger that same feeling from all that time ago. And I think that's the thing really, that, like you say, sometimes we may have moved on in our life as a person, but then something happens, it can trigger those same feelings you had all those years ago when you were much younger. So I guess those things never really go away.
Yeah, welcome everyone as well. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Robert. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Carl. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone, all over the world. And I'm glad you mentioned about that fear of rejection, Ashly, because, and this is what I want to ask everybody when it comes to being parents. Now, obviously, and I've literally just thought of this, which shows to everyone that this ain't scripted, what we do. When we break up in a relationship, we always think, and there's kids involved, we always think that's what's best for the kids. But we separate, we get into different houses, different lives, whatever. But, and this is what I'm going to ask you, Nick, as well. When you've got Noah, which I hope he's had a brilliant birthday, by the way. I saw the post. When he has to go back to his mum's, do you feel abandoned and feel like you've done something wrong for him to go back there?
It's interesting. So whenever I have Noah, the sort of the day, often the evening before he goes back, he'll go quiet or act like play up, act like naughty, like and it's a bit uncharacteristic of him, and sometimes and it's because it won't sort of tell me he's finding it hard to go back. Perhaps he's not quite got that. He's 9. He's not quite got the skills to articulate it, but he'll be really naughty and play up, and the reason is because he's struggling. Wants to see his mum, but he misses her, but he doesn't want to leave me, his dad. And he used to sort of, when he was a bit young, a couple of years ago, he would like just go and climb into a cupboard or something. So he wouldn't even, like now he acts up and plays naughty with me, and I know why. But before then, a couple of years ago, when his way of dealing with it, knowing he was going back to his mum, he would like climb under the bed or into the cupboard and just sit there. So, I mean, well, obviously, I find it hard. I think, I mean, I think I feel the same struggles that Noah does at 9. I feel those. Obviously, I can articulate it to other people, but I think, we both find it hard, equally hard. But I don't climb it,
Yeah. Welcome, Nancy. How are you?
Oh, it's cold here.
Oh, it's cold here.
Yeah. No, I was just saying to Nick, and I'm going to ask you as well, because I think you're in the same situation as well, is because obviously we're talking about the crimes and punishments within mental health space, which I think is fucking powerful. And obviously, I think you was in the situation where obviously you was in a relationship, you've had kids, and we all think that splitting up with that partner, which probably was a toxic relationship, is doing best for the kids. So we split, separate houses, separate lives, whatever. When that child has to go back to the other parent, we feel abandoned and we feel like we've done something wrong. Have you ever thought about that? Like felt that?
Oh, I stayed in the relationship. I stayed in the toxic relationship for 20 plus years because I thought it was better for the children. Now, when it is a amicable parenting relationship where both parents have the capability to parent well, there is a requirement for an understanding of your own patterns of behavior. So if you feel betrayed, then it's a big eye opener to look into self-betrayal. When have you betrayed yourself? It goes back to self. Because if that feeling is within you, it's a true feeling. Every feeling is okay. There's no such thing as a good or bad feeling. It's how you deal with it. So if you feel betrayed, then you got to dig deep, man. Why? Right? That's why so many people avoid going to psychologists or psychiatrists, because they get that question. Would you like to tell me more about that? No.
Absolutely. And obviously what Stephen's put, questioning yourself. How does this feeling affect me? Is it beneficial or is it negative? Can I change it? These are good questions to ask oneself. Mm-hmm. But do we always have to make it about self? We don't, especially in the world of recovery as well.
Recovery always begins with self and reflects everything out. It's a ripple effect. So it's always coming back to return to sender, right? Return to sender. Yeah. What in me is being activated by you? Right? Because I mean, if I went like this to the people that are on this show, no one would be offended.
I am.
A little bit. A little bit.
So yeah, it's a beautiful topic. Thank you for understanding my need to find a Wi-Fi signal here in the Great White North.
Oh, it's all right. I've just not long off phone to Ashley, who was whinging about traffic. It's all right.
It's.
Yeah, you want to hold up that finger again? You want to hold that up for me?
It's always within these fingers too, Ash. You just have to remember that, right?
I know, right? Peace.
Well, you know what? That's what I want to pick on now is you home educate your kids, Ashly.
Yeah.
So when you feel like, okay, these kids or whatever you want to call them have to do these education, have to do learning, and they're like, no, I don't want to do it. How does that make you feel as a parent? You punish yourself?
Sometimes.
Okay. Why?
But, well, it really depends. I think it's more so there are times where I'm like, okay, well, we didn't get that done today. And then you have the thoughts, okay, are my kids behind? My kids aren't reading necessarily as well as a kid in a public education school system is reading. But wait, then I remember those kids in the public school education system can graduate and they still don't know how to frickin' read. So my kids are light years ahead. So I think I've had to really train myself, if you will, to remember that I am not raising institutionalized children. I'm raising them differently to go against the grain and the standard of society. Simply because they're not cookie cutter. All of my kids were created very differently. They all learn very differently. Would some of them maybe thrive in a school setting? Sure, maybe. But with how broken today's school system is, I'm not doing that. And I refuse to do that. So I will be, quote unquote, in control of what my children are learning and how they learn and the skills that they're being taught. And it's funny you ask that because when I was in Florida, I was sitting in the restaurant and there was a news broadcast that came on and I'm just looking for it. I couldn't hear what it had said because it was on mute, but it talked about how it was talking about the tool belt generation, bringing back the trades and like building and working with hands. And it said 49% have a high school degree. They go to a trade program or a 2-year degree will get them maybe that anticipated job. 56% of the real world on the job experience is more beneficial. So rather than going to school, I'm giving my boys on the job experience that they could go and land a job when they quote unquote graduate from being home educated. So they have a higher percentage to be able to get a job than what they do if they spend thousands of dollars to go to trade school because they have that experience. And I want my children to learn through the experience. So I just have to remember that I'm teaching them every moment that they are awake, whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. And I have to ditch out the guilt of, well, they need to be doing this subject and this one and this one and this one every single day, 8 hours a day. No, because I am not going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that because while you were talking about the system, which it is fucked, I admit that. I was on a TikTok live this morning and I followed this person every day and she's brilliant. Like she homeschools her daughter and we're actually contemplating homeschooling our eldest. Currently, we're thinking about it. And she basically said, if you was in a toxic relationship, you just get up and leave. But we're quick enough to send our kids to a toxic school. It's true. It's true.
Well, it is very, very true. And sometimes it's finding that middle ground as well. Sometimes it is part the ability to choose, okay, my children are going to go to the regular school system in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they're going to come home so that we can begin to integrate some change.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, right? Because that in itself can be very damaging to the psyche and the mindset, right? We can gradually do these things. 3 of my sons went through an apprenticeship program when they were in high school. So I have 3 sons with trades. A few of them between them all, between my 3 sons, they can build houses. They have all the skills. And it's been great for them. And it's not, I think one of the things that we need to remember is that the traditional belief that we have a job and that's the career that we have for the rest of our lives is not a necessary life sentence anymore. We don't need to have one job, one career. We can have multiple careers, multiple paths in our lives. So, there's so many options available. I think what's very important is for the child to have a buy-in. So why does the child want to be participating in homeschool, right? Like there has to be, because homeschooling requires commitment. You can't be you've got to be a strong child to homeschool. There's a lot of, it's like, I'm sure Ashley's kids will all be like, yeah, I'm tougher than a lot of my friends, mentally, physically, spiritually. It builds greatness, and it's a champion's journey for sure, man. It's resilience.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Like my kids, there's a lot of buck and a lot of pushback at times, unless it's something that they really want to pursue. So if it's okay, this is what we're going to do today. If they don't have an interest in it, they're going to dig in their heels. But if you can change it around, and one of the best ways for my 12-year-old to work on his reading is give him an instruction manual. Okay, you got to build this. And then he's like, okay. And it's not just looking at the pictures sometimes. It's part A, all the things. So you just have to get creative, and you have to be willing to work with the needs of each child. So they'll get it at some point.
I don't have much experience homeschooling, but I think the world is changing. We're very still a society traditionally minded, so I think we still think that school is the way, education will lead to a job. You should have a career. I think we're traditionally minded in society, and of course some kids do thrive in the traditional school setting. Some people do have a job for life, but I think that's getting rarer and rarer. And we have to be, and I think the whole thing is, as the world's changing, we have to look up that traditional schooling may suit some people, but it's not the only option. And we need to open it up and say, what's right. Homeschooling might not be right for some kids, but definitely it's right for some.
Absolutely, yeah.
A job for life might suit some people, but it's definitely not right for more people. We juggle the jobs. It's normal people doing side hustles. I think that's the thing. It's we have to be aware that it's finding what's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we just got a comment from Arthur Sherry, and I hope they actually let me read this comment because it's absolutely powerful. I don't know if you're still here, Arthur, but wow.
What are you saying?
The base report, I was so many survivors of sexual abuse. I was left with my pain and rejection. I turned to using drink and drugs to cope. The inevitability descended into chaos over the next 8 years. Wow. How do we respond to that?
The trauma that is behind addiction. There are factors of trauma behind addiction. Yeah. What factors? That's that algebraic question. What every experience is so unique that anytime that the word always is used, it's like there's no such thing as always. Addiction has layers and levels of trauma, and sometimes we don't even know what that trauma is, because suppressed trauma can create a lot. With the the 8 years, that's a long stint. I mean, that's a big pain factor. Huge. The courage to speak to that is admirable. Very, very admirable. Right?
Yeah, it really is. Really is. Well, Richard Kaufman's on his way, so that's brilliant. So yeah, I hope that answers Arthur or Trevor. Which one it is, I don't know. I'm crap with names these days.
Practice makes perfect, right? Practice makes perfect.
Hey, I'm already perfect, love.
Imperfectly perfect. Yes, as we all are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she put 142 arrested for seeking help. Google Sean Burton Plymouth.
Oh, say again, Adam. So I didn't quite catch that.
They put 142 arrested for seeking help, and Google Sean Burton Plymouth.
Okay.
Don't know that.
No, I don't.
I don't even know where. Right. That's a big where, who, what, when, where, why. Right. The W5.
Exactly.
Can't answer to what I do not know the backstory on. And I think that's something that's very, very important to understand is the backstory. On our own personal journeys, right? We don't, we can never speak to anybody's experience simply because we do not know the backstory of the experience until it's explained, right? So that honest, vulnerable communication is so powerful, whether it's between friends, family, or client and expert, right? Yeah. Whether we're talking about balancing books or balancing emotions, you've got to lay it all out on the line. You can't just say to somebody, "I'm broke," physically or financially. There's more to the story than that. So it's about sharing.
I think if there's gaps, we fill in the gaps ourselves. If we only got half a story, we'll naturally fill in the gaps to our own assumptions, and that can lead to different.
Absolutely, and we have been playing the victim card for so many years, and like me, I'm guilty of it. And obviously, do I like Christmas? No, I don't. I absolutely can't stand it because I've got reasons behind that with not having my daughter here. But I thought, you know what? This year I'm going to try and make an effort. And I've actually drawn. Well, I've not drawn, but I've actually got this fake snow, and I sprayed the window on it. I made like a little tree on it. But
nice.
But yeah.
Nice.
So
I've got lots of snow here. It's everywhere.
So Adam, is that for yourself, for your children that way? Because I've
you know what? I actually did it for all of us.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to show you. Hang on, mate.
You've got lots of decorations on.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at that.
How cool is that?
You've got a lot of stuff up. Wow, you're making me feel I'm going to feel. Okay, this weekend I've got to get on the case.
Yeah. You know what? Celebration. And I think that's finding a way to celebrate the different seasons, the different changes in seasons. I love the winter solstice. I love December 21st and the celebrations around that, as well as December 25th. I love understanding both traditions, the tradition of December 21st and the magic of that, as well as the beauty of December 25th and all that it represents. So
I think it's all about celebrating life, and I think the excuse to sort of celebrate in a sense, I think the more we should be celebrating more, celebrating what we've got, how celebrating being together with people we care about, so I think celebration is a positivist word there is, isn't it, really? So definitely I agree, Nancy.
But even then, December 25th can be a trigger to people.
Oh, I think it's a very tough time of year.
For
myself, so my brothers and sisters, they all married to big families, and so with my son sometimes stays with my ex, so it's just me. So every Christmas, even have my son, I have to find which my family I can go to, and it's always sometimes like last minute, and I never know. And so for me, it's like it's a reminder of a bit of loneliness, in that sense, that I live on my own, I'm on my own. So for me, yeah, definitely it can be. I've lost, but for me, it's a reminder of what some ways I've lost that family unit I had, and potentially, it can be quite a lonely time of year, can it? So I agree, Adam, it can be challenging.
Anything, Ashly?
I'm just listening to my kids jabber in the other room. No, I think it's that time of year. With the holidays, just in general, they are what we make them, and we can spend time with people that maybe aren't the best for our mental health sometimes, or we can choose to do something different and spend time with those that support us and are willing to pour into us, if you will, versus deflate us. So for us here in the States, we've got Thanksgiving next week. So it's usually we're gone for Thanksgiving. We're usually in a different state, but this year it's going to be a little bit different, where my in-laws are coming up here, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So it's choosing to spend that time with them and enjoy that time with them and creating our own traditions. I don't necessarily follow the traditions of what were laid out for me as a kid anymore. Now that I have my own kids, it's more what's in my, four walls and in my house, and something that I want them to know, like, hey, we don't have to follow this cookie cutter thing because mom's family did it and mom did it. Now, like, let's create our own. And I have to remind myself to not feel guilty about that, because I think family can make us feel guilty for not going to this place and not doing this thing. And why don't you go here? And why don't you spend time here? Because I don't want to. So I think it's creating those boundaries as well as we come into the holiday season.
Very important, the boundaries. Very, very important, the boundaries. And remembering as well that many people who are going through this Christmas, this is the first Christmas that they're living without their loved one. This is the second Christmas that they're living without their loved one, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, and that there is no equation for when someone who has lost a loved one gets over the missing of that person at the event. I don't know if grief is something that I don't understand the expectation that we need to get over it. It's not a cold. It's not a sexually transmitted disease that you get a shot for to get better. Right? Like, why do we do that? Why is that expectation? Allow people to be in their feelings, love and support them in whatever way you're capable of. And if you're not the person that's capable of loving and supporting someone through that, connect them with somebody is. Right? If you know that you're not that person, then accept that. We have these thoughts that we're a superstar in every field. That's impossible. I mean, it's truly impossible. We don't look at gynecology that way, right? The things that Nancy says.
I love that. That's the profession you pick, is a gynecologist. Of all of them out there, Nance. Oh my gosh.
Proctologist, gynecologist. There's a few ologies that are relatable.
Always one.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
There's a reel. You can clip that one, Adam. That might get you some play.
People share this, guys. Screen record. Oh, fucking hell.
Nance and Ashly bringing the joy back into Christmas. Yeah, there she is.
I have no response to that, Nancy. You've got me.
Good day.
It is. It is. Yeah, well, Richard was here. Don't know where he is. But yeah. So I hope everyone's doing good.
I guess one of the things that's hard about Christmas is we expect it to be like almost falsely over jovial and and extra whether we're feeling that or not, and any time of the year pretend to be in a really good mood if we're not, and putting on a false front can be hard. But I think that can be the difficulty of Christmas, isn't it? Where everyone's been on this super happy, jovial, happy la la land thing of Christmas for those 2-3 days, and everyone's expected to be that, and anyone has not got a super huge smile for those 3 days. And I think it's hard if you're not feeling that. There's a lot of pressure to put, not dampen everyone's spirit. And I think that's sometimes a challenge, isn't it, at Christmas time?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why so many people turn to the bottle.
It is. People at Christmas will drink more than
for everybody, or whatever other substance that they're using. Yes. And that's why I think that it's a important discussion to have for people to understand that depending upon what substance you're choosing, that substance can destroy your life and remove you from your family. I know in Canada there's a huge problem with fentanyl poisoning. Huge. So I say to my family and friends, let's keep the white lines off the table at Christmas, right? Let's stay away from the substances, the cocaine, the fentanyl, anything that is got the potential to literally poison you and kill you. I mean, I don't think your family wants to go through Christmas without you.
Absolutely. And that's what it is, isn't it? Where I sent a statement as well, and it's actually been circulating on social media where you give flowers, you make an effort at funerals and stuff like that, but why wouldn't they do it while we're here and breathing?
Not everybody has the capacity to understand that it needs to be done. So if you be that person, right? If you have a loving heart and a supportive heart, share that with those. Some people don't love and support well, Adam. They're just not programmed for that, right? Like it's the dysfunction in the human being that doesn't allow them to be a benefit to your mental health. That was eloquent.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so the thing, why is there set occasions when we give flowers or we celebrate or we do these gestures of we have these specific times of the year, like I don't know, Valentine's or someone's birthday, anniversary. That's when we give flowers to someone. But I mean, nothing wrong with doing on those days, but we should do it more. I think that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Absolutely. And this is what I mean. You know what? Being in the world of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's really brilliant because even just today as well, obviously Kerry was like, you're just a pair of nutters, because the guy that obviously I've connected with, obviously we don't do meetings and we haven't done meetings for a very long time. We really should, to be honest. I admit that. But even though there was snow on the ground outside, like as there still is now, he actually came up because he's helping us do up the garden. He's actually come up and he's cut the hedges in the snow. Why not?
Who is this, Adam? So I missed the first bit.
Our hedges on the front. One of my mates from Alcoholics Anonymous came up and chopped them back.
Okay, that's nice. Okay,
yeah, why not? Snow.
Just to do. Okay.
So Kerry called us a pair of nutters.
Good nutter.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
yeah. So it's all good. All good. Oh.
I was looking forward to Richard being on the
I know.
podcast.
I know.
We'll have him on next time.
He's on next week. He's on next week, where it's actually a brilliant one because the next week's show is same time next week, empowering ourselves by taking responsibility for our mental health.
That's a good one.
Ashley.
Yeah.
I'm not here next week.
Oh no!
See, she's skiving again.
Hey, I got family in town.
I know you do. Oh, it's your in-laws, isn't it?
It's my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, yes.
Oh, you're going to have fun with them, aren't you?
We're going to have a great time. My sister-in-law and I are going to go to the nail salon and probably get our nails done. And
Early.
You may see your mother-in-law.
Shop. She'll be up north. She's with one of my kids is up there right now with them. He's hunting. Or he will be hunting. Tomorrow is opening day in Wisconsin, so he'll be deer hunting.
Fair enough. Right, so Ashley will be back then in December.
I will be.
When we talk about the life of depression.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
life of depression.
You got some good shows, good titles coming up.
We don't have that many to go. We don't.
I know. The year is almost over.
Is it though?
Well, and what I was going to talk to Richard about was how he was going to possibly help gift Adam with the opportunity of taking this beautiful StreamYard and putting it into the podcasting online, like the headphone thing that I think we need to
just
investigate
audio version.
We have to wait another week, Nance.
I know. I'll be patient.
I've never had patience in my life. Never. And I'm not thinking of starting.
An audio version, as well as video.
Yes. Right, okay, right. Well, I best go and shoot. If anyone's not got anything to say about this.
I think we covered a beautiful amount of information that is digestible for our listeners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Ashley,
so
happy
Thanksgiving to you, Ashley, for next week.
Yeah. Enjoy the in-laws. Enjoy the in-laws.
I will. And now I just have to semi-clean my house just a little bit.
Get rid of the cloves.
A leaf blower does amazing.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I just need to blow the dog hair out. It'll be fine.
Vacuum in a house and a leaf blower.
Stop talking about your husband like that.
Adam, it's fancy how, I had said before I wasn't going to set up the Christmas tree because the dog would eat it. Well, that a-hole got a hold of my brand new blanket tote and she chewed the handle off of it while I was gone. And I said to my daughter, I'm like, what is she chewing on? She's like, I don't know. And I go over there and I'm like, you son of a... Shut it apart. And I'm like, oh, stop chewing on stuff. You've got bones, you have toys, and every living room blanket I have has holes in it. You can put your head through. One of our dogs can fit through it. She's chewed every blanket I own.
That's what dogs do. That's what dogs do. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Perhaps you can take up knitting or crocheting, Ashley.
Yeah, she'll eat that.
I could imagine that.
She'll eat that. I remember, I love dogs.
Probably.
You chose to get a dog.
This is what they do. That's all I can say, isn't it? That's what
take responsibility and own ownership, Ashley.
They're not going to change. That's what dogs do.
I said, I literally buy her all of the chew toys you can possibly imagine, and she shreds every single one of them.
Right, anyway, we're going to shoot. We will see you same time next week, 7 p.m. UK, so I think it's like 1 or 2 p.m. Nance, your time. I've not got the clue.
And the title, just remind us of a title of next week's show. One more time.
Empowering ourselves by taking responsibility for our mental health.
Great, well, tune in, everyone.
Yeah.
See you all next week.
Cheers.
See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.